Well, hello. This is WeatherBrains 465. It's the magical pre-show. This is for December 22nd. It's the Christmas edition. And we are slowly coming up to speed here.
What's going on over there?
Who's playing the tunes?
Hell, me. I got some Tannenbaum going here. Stuff to get us pulled off of YouTube.
Yeah, they'll take us off in a heartbeat. That's the Charlie Brown version, isn't it?
Yeah, baby. Vince Guaraldi.
Yeah. No, I was listening to Skating off that very soundtrack earlier today.
I just downloaded that to my phone the other day. I love that song. I don't know how I didn't have it.
No, that's a great piece of music off that. That's fantastic.
Yep. You missing a light there?
Yeah, I got one light out. It's kind of like I'm in the dark here. And you know, it's Christmas, which means we're on a skeleton staff here. I could probably crawl up there and change that thing myself, but
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, if I'm electrocuted, that'd make for some great live television here. So let's see here. Hang on.
Great Christmas lighting.
It's so
watch
that's
James Spann light up.
Yeah. So this is the one that's out. That one's okay. This one,
not so much.
No. And you know, it's one of those old-fashioned types that they don't use these anymore, like in the real studio back there. So you want to get a tour here? What do we have over here?
Huh.
There's my door.
You need to restock the goodies.
Yeah. Well, I've done a little better job.
Was there a tornado on your door? Is that what all that stuff is?
Yeah. For some reason, I started sticking the tags you get from the on there.
Yep.
So I've got some popcorn and Cheetos and graham crackers and junk.
You need to get more cookies in there.
I know.
Especially for tomorrow.
Where's the hat?
It is up
there.
There.
Oops.
See it there?
Oh, look at there.
Yep, it's up there on the top shelf, so the gremlins can't get it.
That's a good show title. Where's the hat?
Yeah, where's the hat? Yeah, see, I mean,
how about pass the hat?
Yeah, pass the hat.
Hey, I had a first. Have you ever done this, James? Have you ever been a door judge?
No.
You know what that is?
like door decorations in a business?
No, it was at a retirement center.
No.
Yeah, I was a door judge the other day. It was very exciting. It was hard.
I bet it was.
I had to channel my inner Santa Claus Brian Peters to decide which one was the best.
Keep in mind, the first rule is never judge anything.
Yeah. I wasn't the only one, fortunately.
So why is it like I put the right embed code on that live.bigbrainsmedia.com page, and it shows the old 464 still on there, and I did it like 10 minutes ago. It's some kind of caching issue, and I really can't figure out a way to get around that.
John says he needs an invite again.
I've invited both John Scholars. I'll try it again.
Mine says 465.
But I'm talking about on live.bigbrainsmedia.com?
Yeah, mine says 465.
Oh, well, good. Okay, maybe I'm just pulling some crap from my old browser here. Who knows? That's good.
See, if you started show prep more than 6 seconds before the actual show.
All right, let me. Yeah. So I did a screen grab to prove my point here. Hang on. Let me.
While you're grabbing that, James, is my audio any better?
Yes, you fixed it. Whatever you did, you're good.
Okay. All right. Good. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Rick.
Hey, Rick.
So
I'll apologize to you in person.
Oh, there was no apology necessary. That's fine.
Well, I left you off the list, and I apologize.
Sometimes that's good. Maybe I want to be left off the list.
There's so many of us now; it's hard to keep up with it.
Yeah, I know.
So look, all right. So you see those two John Scholars? I mean, which one is the right one? I mean,
the
one with the hair.
Looking, and they both have the hair.
Well, they both got the hair of an angel, but one looks like he's a little younger than the other one, and it just I've invited them both. So let me stop the screen share, and I'll invite them both again. They both show up. That's just too weird.
Hey, Kevin, I was on the WeatherBrains hoodie T-shirt site and saw that we need 11 more to get another order.
Oh, are people going to them again? Wow.
Goodness.
Apparently so. So I'm
That's
putting it
good.
on this week's WeatherBrains links.
Wow.
You can still get a WeatherBrains hoodie or T-shirt. Sign up at here.
This is fantastic. I may never have to actually do any work on that again. It'll just keep reviving itself.
Did we ever get a check?
No, I've not asked for it. Do you guys know what you want to do with it, or?
No, I don't. I just thought maybe they just sent it to you or something.
No, you have to request it.
Okay.
I figure something will come up at some point in time, and we'll say, hey, we could use the money for that.
Is Aubrey in or out tonight? I know she's out,
I
tomorrow.
believe. Oh, tomorrow she's out.
She's out tomorrow, I thought.
I thought she was in tonight. See, I've invited, usually John's in here by now and Aubrey's in here by now, and I don't see either one of them, which is very odd. Murray says he's out. I see Nate in. We got Kevin in. We have Rick in. And I don't even know who the guests are. I have no guest note.
Yeah, has there not been a guest note?
Do you have one, Brian?
I don't think I got one either.
I
Bill
think we're going to
sent.
have to...
Let's see. The guest is. Let me see if I can find it. I thought Bill sent something earlier that's got Jesse's email address. Stand by.
I've got one.
Yeah, it's got
email
names,
thread
but that's it.
23.
Oh, okay. He didn't send any kind of bio. I don't have any information on the two guests, unfortunately.
I think it's just going to be one guest. It was supposed to be two originally. It's just going to be Jesse Harro.
And is he from El Paso?
He's from he's the MIC in El Paso.
Oh, okay.
And Bryce was
How
going
do
to
you
be on, but
spell
he's on
his
mid.
how do you spell his last name, Rick?
H-A-R-O.
Sorry, H-A-R-O?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it Jesse?
Yes.
Like J-E-S-S-E?
I believe
And
so.
naturally, there's two Jesse Harros. I see one
Of
guy with
course,
a mustache.
There's the one without a picture.
Oh, no, they both got a picture. Oh, goodness, there's like more.
Uh-oh.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. This is great.
That's an unusual name to have 6.
And there's like 3 of them, they've got pictures. So you got 3 with no pictures, so I'm just going to pick the first one with no picture.
I'm going to put his email address in the chat.
Yeah, if you could do that, that would be. If I could get the, we've learned that trick works. You can insert a Gmail address in there, and that will work beautifully. So let's take that and invite him. Yeah, his name came right up when I stuck that email address in there.
Yeah. He's listed as Jesus, not Jesse, so that's another.
Oh,
thing throwing
okay.
us off.
Jesus. So, Kevin, is this your house? Your new home in Wichita Falls?
That's the pool house.
See the Lignon Coliseum at MSU, Midwestern State University.
Wow.
How are you? I started using photos for the backgrounds for the forecast, and I like it.
No, it makes good sense. Like Rick just hung up on us.
Didn't like my picture, apparently.
No. And by the way, for those of you that are just joining us, this is the pre-show, obviously, where we share boring personal stories, occasional humorous anecdotes, and cool Christmas light pictures. So Brian, you're seeing 465 on live.bigbrainsmedia.com. I am not. That is just too strange.
Yeah, it's WeatherBrains 465.
And our guys in master control can't see. That's just
Well, that's weird.
That is just too strange.
I usually have that problem. John Scala sent me a message and says I still need an invite.
I've invited him 3 times. Let's try it again.
Okay.
Both John Scalas. It's weird. Like sometimes you'll punch up his name and just one shows up. All right, so he's been invited. Hey, Jesse, can you hear us? I see a dog.
Is Jesse the dog?
Yeah, that's a great.
Brian, you've gone Skyline. What do you call it, Kevin?
Cylon again?
Cylon. Yeah.
Cylon? Okay.
So what do you do to fix that, Brian? I mean, what?
Got to unplug.
Did that fix it? No, I don't unplug. I just reset my settings. Did that fix it or not?
Yes.
Well, that's all I do is I go to settings and just save them again, and that usually fixes it. Bizarre, I know, but
we saw Jesse's head pop up for a minute, but I haven't heard a peep out of him.
So you got any thoughts about the severe weather tomorrow, James?
He's got a good-looking head. Very symmetrical.
He's got a big nose.
No, I think I agree with Birmingham. They're downplaying it. I just don't.
Yeah.
The 850 millibar jet, the low-level jet, is like over Georgia. Everything just looks out of phase, and
yeah.
How many times?
Yeah, on Saturday I didn't say anything about severe weather because it just didn't seem like things were, that much in sync.
Well, it's one of these cold season dynamic systems, and those can be very problematic.
Yeah, they can. You're right.
But
so is the plan for me to come in the studio and work with you? Charles can.
The plan is if we get into a all-nighter and it's marginal, then you're going to come up here at 10:30 and have the magical John Oldshoe shift.
Oh, gee, thank you.
Where you handle it for the.
I don't even get my picture on the ABC 3340 webpage, and I have to. Say, crap shifts.
Buddy, if you want to get your picture on that page, you got to pull some midnight shifts here. Hey, Jesse, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We've got two.
Yes.
We've got two Kevins.
Yes.
I got two Kevins. Oh, one Kevin just went away.
Yeah, when you drop off and come back, it'll have duplicates up there. I don't know what to do about John. I mean, it's like I've invited him every way. I don't have another way.
Rebooting.
Okay.
He said he's rebooting.
Yeah. And the other problem is that MCR can't see the show because on live.bigbrainsmedia.com they see what I see, which is 464. And I put the right embed code in there 30 minutes ago. Yet Brian sees it over there.
This is very strange. I just did a refresh and now I don't see anything.
I see it, 465.
Okay.
And the guys.
Oh, there it is. It's back. 465. Yep.
I think they're seeing it in the chat room, so it's some kind of an issue with this connectivity here in the building. Apparently, it's pulling out something out of some old cache file or something. That's weird. Well, goodness, I don't know what to do with no John. Actually, I do know what to do. I can play this. Anytime we're talking about Dr. John, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go back to 1973. 1973,
right.
when life was so simple.
Wasn't it, though? Wow.
Yeah, and I'm getting all kind of tweets, people watching us on live.bigbrainsmedia.com. No, Dr. John Scala, we think, is the same Dr. John that recorded this song in the right place at the wrong time on WeatherBrains.
I've been in the right place, but it must have been the wrong time.
All right. That'll get us
He's in
pulled
the
off.
wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. That'll get us pulled off YouTube as well. Well, goodness, I don't know what to do. That's just a strange problem. I have to do a shift plus reload. Somebody said that. Let me try that. Shift
And refresh.
reload.
That usually will refresh the cache.
It worked. It is a genius.
Yeah. Did you not know about that one?
Raymond D. Woods Jr.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The man is a
surprised you-
genius. And he's in Midwest City, Oklahoma. Rick, he's your neighbor.
Yeah, I got to meet him not too long ago. He's a good guy.
Well, this-
good photographer. Sounds
Wow.
like he's a good Google Plus Hangout fixer too.
Did you have your Google Hangout broken?
Well, the next question is, so let's see if Raymond can tell me how to get Dr. John on here.
John just sent an email saying he needs an invite.
Yeah, I've invited him 5 times, but all the Dr. Johns have been invited 5 times.
He sent me an email saying he was rebooting.
Nate, you sucking down some cheer wine?
No Coke today.
Ooh.
Just straight up Coke today. I have some. My mom was visiting my folks in Winston-Salem this weekend, and Mom sent me with a 6-pack of pure cane sugar cheer wine that I am holding for a special occasion.
All right.
Yeah.
What part of Winston-Salem?
The western part. My folks actually live just past there in a little town called Advance, just inside of Davie County. But we spent most of the weekend. My grandfather passed away a month and a half ago, and so we spent Saturday over at his house, sort of beginning the process of packing things up and cleaning and all that sort of thing. So spent some time. It's one of those things that I don't think there's a chapter in Emily Post for how to do that. And I don't know that it could have come together any better. If that, I mean, it's just everybody. We got along. We told stories. I mean, we had fun. Dare I say it? So Grandpa was watching over us. It's good stuff. I love my family. I did good in that department.
We have relatives that live in generally the southern, what I would describe as the southern part of Winston-Salem.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my skydiver actually lives, if I understand, like in the northern part of Forsyth County, northern part of Winston-Salem. And my grandfather lived in the northwestern part, and my parents lived sort of southwest. So we have a cluster of folks out that way.
Yep.
Nice drive on 64 and 421 out to get out there.
We're 11 minutes late, James.
Yeah, I know.
Nate, you gotta come up with
I'm getting so much advice here. I've learned more about computers in the last 10 minutes than I've learned in my whole life, I think. We got to get started. We'll keep working on this. So let me get the recorders going here. We're going to record that track, and we are going to record this track. And here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Uh-oh. Hat. Take 2. Wrong button.
Marker.
So we have a problem.
Yeah. Oh, brother. Here we go in
I hope
5.
Anna's not watching this.
Yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Jingle bells,
Woo! Come on now.
jingle all the way.
WeatherBrains, episode number 465. It's the Christmas edition for December 22nd, 2014. Hard to believe this year is almost over, but we are glad you are here. It's a great time of the year, the most marvelous season. And I'm James Spann. We got a few folks that are out, as you might expect, being a couple of days here before Christmas. We've got Bill Murray is out, but he will be back for the year-ender. We'll explain how that's going to work in just a second. Aubrey, I think, is out. And Dr. John is somewhere in the world of the Ethernet here trying to find us on the Google Hangouts, but hopefully we'll bring him in just a second. But we do have the internationally beloved meteorologist, a former National Weather Service WCM, who gets that big pension check every month from Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
Brian,
Right.
what do you spend all that money that you get?
Well, what money? Good Lord.
What do you mean?
Okay,
come on,
I
man.
need some breaking news.
What already? All right.
Breaking
All right,
news,
here we
yes.
go.
We interrupt this program for a CBS Radio Net Alert Bulletin.
I was just kidding. No,
Oh, brother.
no, I do have breaking news. Believe it or not, this morning I created the brand new WeatherBrains email newsletter called Skywritings. And as of the 8:30 hour, we already have 10 subscribers.
Wow.
And
Wow.
guess where they're from? 3 of them are from Alabama, 1 from North Carolina, 1 from Ohio, 1 from Iowa, 1 from Minnesota, 1 from Oklahoma, 1 from Texas, and 1 from Bellevue, Washington.
It sounds like most of the cast of the show here.
That's what I was thinking.
We get automatic free subscriptions.
Isn't there one from Tarmo yet?
No, I haven't seen Tarmo yet. But now understand, I put it on the weatherbrains.com webpage, and there's been no announcement. This is the first announcing that we're going to do it. And by the way, just so people don't get upset, there won't be one until about the middle of January. Because I'm not going to do this while I'm going to
You're
Pasadena.
going to sign up for this thing, and then you're going to forget about it, and then in
No, I'm not.
January you're going to start getting spam from us. You're going to, why are these WeatherBrains people always emailing me?
Okay, I need the breaking news music.
Oh, roll it again.
Again?
Yes, yes.
We interrupt this program for a CBS Radio Net Alert Bulletin.
When you hear WeatherBrains 101, oh, there's Aubrey. She made it.
Hi.
When you,
Told you
hey,
she'd
when
be
you-
here.
When you hear WeatherBrains 101, you're going to hear the review of a weather station. And this afternoon, I got a call from another company that produces weather stations. They're sending me another weather station. This is a different company to review for WeatherBrains.
Wow.
Yes.
Brian,
And
Brian has gone from stealing Wi-Fi to stealing weather equipment under the claims
not
of reviewing
stealing.
them for the show here.
No, I am reviewing them for the show. I mean, that's one of the things that WeatherBrains 101 can do. Is
Okay.
review it.
We'll
And it's
anxiously
called
await.
Windoo, Windoo. I can't find the email to the guy.
Oh,
But anyway,
send me his email address, Brian. I want to work with that guy over here.
okay. Yeah, he's in Corpus Christi, actually.
Yeah. Oh, is he really? Oh, good. Yeah, we want to
Yeah,
do something
it's,
with that thing.
PK
And of course, the
Distributors.
The melodious tones, Dr. Kevin Selly,
Hey.
meteorologist in Wichita Falls, Texas.
KFDX, NBC affiliate. How are y'all?
I got to learn your call letters. KFDX.
Isn't that funny?
What channel number is that?
Channel 3. It doesn't.
Channel 3 News.
Yeah, it
with
doesn't
Kevin
roll off the
Selly.
tongue for some reason. It took me a while for those call letters to lock in, and I don't know why.
So are you live, local, and late breaking, or what's
What do
your
they
slogan?
say? You know, it's one of those. You know, there's only like 4 of those opens all around the country: live, local, late breaking, community, late breaking, whatever. I don't know. We're some combination of those. Yeah. They're all-
Accuracy matters. Are you an accuracy matters station?
we are Texoma's Weather Authority.
He had to look at his slogan back there.
Well, no, I want to
know
see if
it-
it says something else. I knew that, but I couldn't remember if it said something else or not.
I've
See, the
worked
light-
here 18 years. I don't even know what our slogan is. It's just like,
They
You are
spend
the slogan, James.
the what?
I said you are the slogan, James.
That's true. That's
Oh,
James'
yeah.
slogan.
yeah, really.
Aubrey, where are you? That looks like a shower curtain behind you. Are you-
What? Wait a minute. Let's bring her video up.
I'm at home. It's the bedroom.
So those are curtains, not,
Yep.
not shower curtains, just regular curtains.
Pay
Oh,
no-
hey, look, wait,
Because I was late.
Oh,
blue
because I
boxer,
was late,
James. Yay!
I thought I would, schmooze
gotta take-
with the shirt.
Take off your
What?
not the shirt. No, don't go there. The super. There
Oh
we
my
go.
gosh! I'm getting off of this show now. It's gone down the tubes.
By the way,
Christmas.
Brian, there's your show title.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The show title is
Take
Aubrey.
off your
I can't even type that on the title bar.
It's a good placement of the little blob.
Oh.
show title.
There's another one.
Good placement of the little blobs.
Things I can't tweet without context for fear of getting fired.
Yes. I just think we ought to stop this show right now. And Lord only knows if Jesse doesn't, if he doesn't hang up on us, it'll be a miracle after this. So Aubrey, I like it when you're home because you've got your pal with you there.
Oh yes, little bear. Say hi, Bear.
Yeah. Hey, Bear.
Did everyone get the Christmas card?
Yep. Hi, Bear.
I did.
Lovely, thank you.
It was extremely. I was touched. Thank you.
The Wagglers have a little humor.
So, are you off this week? Are you like taking some time off, Aubrey?
No, well, I am off Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I've been trying to work Christmas Day for the last 3 years, and one of our other meteorologists just will not take the day off.
He's just that nice? Is that the thing?
Yeah.
So you're doing it this
Sound
time?
like our shop.
But I like Christmas Eve because to me that's my holiday. I like to cook. I cook a nice big Italian dinner.
Oh.
And it'll be our first Christmas as a married couple.
Hey, that's nice. How long have you two known each other?
We've worked together for almost a year. I guess it was almost 2 years before we started dating. So we knew each other for a while. But he was in sports, so we kind of, saw each other in passing. I would say, make sure you wear a hat tonight.
Oh.
That's it.
That's so sweet.
I'm sorry,
Aubrey's
James. I've hijacked the show here.
No, that's great. Aubrey's in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Last week I said she was in Moscow or somewhere. I don't know where my brain was. So, again, we're trying to. Hopefully, we're going to get Dr. John on here before the next hour and a half. We've got 90 minutes to figure out how to get him on the show. We've got Nate Johnson, who is in Raleigh, North Carolina, who looks like he's pondering something. Are you pondering?
Oh, I'm always pondering. I have another monitor at my desk, so I'm looking at my laptop, which is here, and I always have a monitor over here for email and stuff, and now I have a new one over here for a computer that I got this weekend, and I actually can do two things at once now because my laptop is just barely fast enough to do the Hangout and nothing else. So now I can have Twitter up and everything else, which would be fun.
Cool. By the way, somebody just gave me our news slogan here is Alabama's news leader. So, Brian, now
someone came running in to tell you that.
We're on the Twitter. We're at the Big Five. We are coverage you can count on.
Coverage you can count on. Live.
And that's one of the four.
Late breaking. Oh boy! All right, Rick Smith is in Oklahoma City, and thankfully, Rick, you don't. Well, what's the Weather Service slogan? Have you guys got one worked up out there?
Service is our last name, but we put it first. I don't know.
Show title.
We've got so many show titles. It's like, we're not going to know what to do here. That was awesome.
Actually, we have a little slogan we have on our business cards or something. We make the difference when it matters most. Of course, that can go either way. So but we mean it in a good way. But yes, I'm here in beautiful Oklahoma where the sun shone today for approximately an hour, and people rejoiced in the streets. It's been cloudy forever, it seems like. So that's been the breaking news here.
And again, let's see, we've got Bill Murray, who is out. So Rick or Nate, which one of you guys want to introduce our guest star tonight?
Well, let's see.
Rick, we'll come back to, I think let's go ahead and bring Jesse in, and then we'll see if we can't get Dr. John connected. I don't think we've given up on that yet.
No, you do that, and I'll work on Dr. John.
Okay. All right. Well, I am honored to be able to introduce our guest tonight, Jesse Harro. He is the meteorologist in charge at the National Weather Service Forecast Office in Santa Teresa, New Mexico. You may be wondering, I've never heard of that office before. Well, that's the El Paso office. So it's physically located in Santa Teresa, New Mexico. Jesse's been the MIC there for 5 years now. Before that, we now have, he joins the WCM crew here, at least the WCM alumni. He was a WCM before that at the offices in Albuquerque and Brownsville. He's also worked at offices in Las Vegas and Phoenix, so he spent a lot of time out in the western part of the United States. And I first got to meet Jesse back in 2006 when we were in a leadership class together in Kansas City, and that was a good experience. So I think Bill ran into Jesse and at the NWA conference back in, what month was that? A while back, a couple of months ago, in Salt Lake. So Jesse, welcome to WeatherBrains. Appreciate you joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, you know, all the time in weather we talk about borders. You know, usually we're talking about CWA borders, or you know, weather doesn't pay attention to the silly lines we draw on maps. You know that better than anybody, because you're not only dealing with CWA borders from adjacent offices, but you're also dealing with international borders, and you've been doing that for quite a while now, both at the office in Brownsville and at the office now at Santa Teresa. That's got to be that's a whole different world that I've never experienced, and having to deal with the international aspect. Tell us a little bit about how you got started with some of that at the office in Brownsville, and how you did some interactions there to enhance the relations across the border there.
Well, you know, when you live along an international border, you become cognizant of cultural, language differences pretty much immediately. And you have to incorporate those differences into how you approach your job and into how you approach the National Weather Service mission in order to be effective. And it really hits you in the face when you live in a border community, because I'll take Brownsville, for example. Down there, demographically, it was 90% Hispanic. 50 to 60% of people spoke Spanish at home. So there was no way that we could possibly be effective as an agency without addressing those demographic issues. So it's certainly a big challenge, and you have to address it and be honest about it if you work along the international border.
So I guess working at the Brownsville office is probably quite a bit different than working at the El Paso office there. I know one of the things that you had is kind of a common enemy, if you will, when you're working at the Brownsville office is certainly the tropical activity, the hurricanes, and dealing with that. Did that help as far as being a hook or something to start that communication? Was it different there than it is in El Paso now, as far as the I'm sure it is, the issues that you're facing? Did that tropical aspect of it when you're at Brownsville play a role in helping those communications?
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt that it played a role. When you're along the Gulf Coast, people are going to take the weather threats seriously, whether they're in Mexico or in the United States. So as you mentioned, it was possible to use that as a hook to collaborate and to encourage, you know, cross-border collaboration and English-Spanish collaboration. In El Paso, Ciudad Juarez, it's a lot more challenging. There's a lot more weather apathy in the desert Southwest. You have a lot of people that don't consider weather to be a legitimate threat. And of course that can be dangerous from a public service standpoint. If your public officials and the people that are working to put together emergency response plans for your communities are not taking the weather seriously, then it's really easy to get caught unaware and unalert. So we have to work in the desert Southwest areas even harder to get people to take the weather seriously as a threat. And, you know, in our case, in El Paso, Juarez, we have to do it in 2 languages with 2 countries for the protection of American lives on both sides of the border. And that's something that a lot of people don't take into account. When we're speaking Spanish or we're working with Mexico, we're actually doing to protect American interests on both sides of the border. We have a substantial amount of American citizenry on the U.S. side that monitor Spanish language media or Mexican media to get their weather. And we have a considerable American presence in Ciudad Juarez, in the Maquiladora industry area and the border zone area. So if they're going to be dealing with the weather impact in Ciudad Juarez, they're going to be relying on services from Mexican emergency management officials to protect them. So we have to collaborate with them in order to ensure that American lives on the Mexican side of the border are in good hands.
I'm not very familiar with it. I don't know if anybody else is, but what kind of weather services are there in Mexico? Is there a national weather service that has a similar mission to what our National Weather Service does here in the States?
Yeah, there is a Mexican National Weather Service. As opposed to ours, Theirs is very centralized, so they don't have a weather forecast office structure in the same manner that we do. And also they approach their warning services very differently. So subsequently, you can have communities in the border areas of northern Mexico that feel very detached and isolated from their National Weather Service headquarters. So subsequently, it's very common for those communities to monitor what we are doing and to monitor our radar and to monitor our weather forecasts. And like I mentioned previously, if you simply look at the maquiladora industry, if you simply look at American traffic that is crossing into Mexico every single day, it's in our best interest to work with Mexico in order to assure that those American citizens are getting the information they need in order to be aware of weather hazards in their area, because they may not have access to American channels or American broadcasts when they're down there. So that's our reason for working with them. If in the process we provide a humanitarian benefit to Mexican citizens, that's the cherry on top of the sundae.
And so you, I'm guessing you are very cognizant of that, and you know, we talked about whether or not observing those borders. I'm assuming you're having to talk about weather that's in Mexico that hasn't crossed the border into your county warning area yet, and I guess you're cognizant that people are out there on the other side of the border using the information you're providing. Do you tailor to them in any way? Are you aware of that, and do you help them out with additional information that they may not be getting from their National Weather Service?
Well, it's essential that we maintain a line of communication with the folks in Mexico. You mentioned a very common type of occurrence, which is when we have weather approaching the United States from the south. And in those circumstances, it's essential that we communicate with them in order to know what's happening so that we can have that information to incorporate into our warnings for the American side. Now, with regard to tailoring information, we don't particularly tailor information. We're not really allowed to produce weather products for Mexico, but what we do is we ensure that the Mexican interests do have access to our decision support services so that they can make the appropriate decisions that are in the interest of not only their citizenry, but certainly the American citizenry that's in the Mexican border zone.
And I know from talking to Tim Bryce, and Tim Bryce was going to be here with us tonight. Tim works in your office. He's one of the senior forecasters there, and of course he's a friend of WeatherBrains and a big social media guru in the National Weather Service. When he's working midnight shifts, and something about sleeping or some, I don't know, you know, service above self. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
but Tim was telling me something about something you've been very involved in there in El Paso, the virtual border conference. Tell us a little bit about that and how that plays into your outreach and education efforts.
Well, first off, Tim's been an absolute gem in terms of getting our social media coverage up, and simply with helping us do things like monitor Spanish language hashtags along the border so that we can be cognizant of whether or not the Mexican folks in Ciudad Juarez are monitoring the weather or talking about the weather on social media. But you do mention something that we have done and something that's been a big deal. In 2011 and 2013, our office hosted what we called virtual border conferences that included interests on both sides of the border, extending all the way from California down to the tip of Texas. And the purpose of those conferences was quite simply to provide a conduit, to provide a placeholder, to share best practices. One of the things that border offices struggle with is that they don't have a tremendous amount of guidance from their regional and national headquarters. We're sort of on our own with regard to providing services along the U.S.-Mexico border. So the purpose of those virtual border conferences in 2011 and 13 was to share best practices, to discuss mutual issues that we have to face on a day-to-day basis that other people don't consider. Simple things such as, you know, who are we going to talk Spanish to? Who are we going to address? Who are we going to include on our decision support services? Are we going to work with Mexico? Are we not? Those are things that we talk about and share best practices in an open type of environment. So We did hold those two conferences, and I'd like to think they were successful with regard to sharing of that type of information.
Now, I was looking at a presentation that you did recently, and I think it said there's 11 television stations there that serve your county warning area where people get weather information. Are those both English language and Spanish language?
Well, yeah, that's typical of a type of struggle that people in border communities have, and also it points to a struggle that we with the National Weather Service have to deal with. If you're in El Paso right now, you have access to 11 television stations providing weather information. 4 of those are English language, 7 of those are Spanish language, 7 are on the U.S. side, and 4 are on the Mexican side. Now, given that so many people are bilingual, they could be watching any of those TV stations at any time. And you apply that issue also to radio stations. The challenge for us at the Weather Service is we never know who is watching what. If we are, say, in the middle of the country, then we know we have to work with all of our network affiliates that are American-owned. If we're on the border and we're trying to reach our own citizenry, we have to work with unknowns a lot of the time. How many TV stations are on the Mexican side? Do they have weather personnel? What kind of information are they sending to the folks in El Paso? And the same thing with the English side. And just as a bit of information, in the El Paso market, Univision has been the market leader for 10 years running now. So if we're going to do our business in English only, we're not going to be working with our market leader with regard to weather information. So those are some of the logistical and technical challenges that we have to deal with in a border community.
Well, that's a daunting task. I think I have a lot of stations to work with, but that's the whole bilingual aspect makes it even more complicated. Can you talk a little bit about are you aware of culture? Are there cultural differences in people and how people respond to weather information? I mean, are there things on one side of the border versus the other where people just handle weather information differently, or do they need it in different forms? Or what have you learned about that in your tenure along the border there?
Well, that's certainly an interesting facet of it all, and I know there's been some social science work, particularly done in the Rio Grande Valley portion of Texas, down in the Brownsville area. The biggest thing that you'll notice is that there are cultural differences with regard to weather response and how you perceive a threat. And we have to be careful here because we start to generalize a little bit, and we certainly don't want to lump everybody into the same pot. But in general, you're going to encounter more fatalism in Mexican culture with regard to a weather threat. I'll never forget when I was working in Brownsville, and Hurricane Emily was threatening the area, and I was busy, boarding my windows and getting ready for the threat. And I was talking to my next-door neighbors about it, and they were folks from Matamoros, Mexico, who happened to own the house next to mine. And I asked them, well, are you going to make any preparations for this hurricane? And their response was, why? If the hurricane's going to hit, it's going to hit, and we'll just deal with it. And you encounter a lot of that sort of fatalism with regard to weather response in Mexican culture. Oh, well, it's going to flood. Well, it's going to flood. What can we do about it? We'll just wait it out. So there's a lot of that to deal with, and as weather emergency officials, as people that are entrusted with trying to teach others about the importance of preparing for hazardous weather, it certainly adds another layer of challenge to it.
Yeah, I know in our experience here, certainly after the events we had here last year, we've increased our interaction a lot with the local Spanish language station here in Oklahoma City, and we've learned a lot about some cultural differences like that, and things that we do in ways that we do outreach. So it's fascinating, and it's just another challenge. I mean, the job is forecasting the weather is only part of what we do. There's a lot of other aspects of this, as you well know. Brian, you had a question, I think.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to you've lived and worked in 2 border situations, one in El Paso and one in Brownsville. Are the problems pretty much the same, or are there distinct differences in the problems that you face between this? I mean, it's the same border, U.S. Mexico, both locations, but are the problems the same or different?
Well, some of the problems are the same. The language and culture issues are the same. Having to deal with various television and radio stations on both sides of the border speaking both languages, those issues are pretty consistent regardless of where you are on the border. The biggest difference that we have, that I've experienced in El Paso Juarez versus Brownsville, Matamoros, and down in the southern tip of Texas, is down there folks tend to take weather a little bit more seriously because of the tropical threat. They have grandparents and great-grandparents who have lived through big hurricanes that can pass down those stories. Again, in the desert Southwest, the biggest issue that a lot of National Weather Service and meteorologists have to deal with is apathy from the general public. In general, getting the general public to take the weather threat seriously. And that's something else we've done across the desert Southwest, initiating monsoon awareness activities and monsoon awareness weeks in order to help get that message out to the general public.
Okay. Hey, thank you. I was just curious.
Okay. All right. Hey, Jesse, this is the question I just thought of. I mean, as WCMs, Brian's been a WCM, and you've been a WCM in several different places. Is it different there as far as the mechanics of doing outreach, as far as getting in a government vehicle and driving somewhere to do a talk or driving somewhere to do a spotter talk? Are there issues? Are there things, obstacles or barriers because of, I don't know, the border, because of security, because of anything? Is your job any substantially different there than it was in Brownsville or Albuquerque as far as just going out as a Weather Service person and getting out into the community and doing outreach?
We do encounter challenges because sometimes there is a demand in place to provide spotter training in Spanish or to provide outreach in Spanish. And in those situations, it's essential that the National Weather Service office have Spanish-speaking personnel in order to accomplish the mission. With regard to security, things like that, I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. We have to go through security checkpoints from time to time. But actually, on the American side of the border, it's quite safe. We don't deal with issues with on any sort of routine basis, and we just have to drive long distances to do what we have to do. We're sparsely populated compared to a lot of other county warning areas that National Weather Service offices have to deal with. So the big challenge is understanding the area, understanding the socioeconomic impacts, understanding the socioeconomic factors that affect how people respond to the weather, knowing where your citizenry is at, either on the American or the Mexican side, and knowing what media partners to collaborate with in order to get the message out. Those are big challenges along the U.S.-Mexico border.
Well, it's nice to be able to join this conversation. I finally worked out some of my computer issues, which seems to happen to me from time to time. As I've been listening to this conversation, it strikes me that we've talked many times on this show about conveying information in an appropriate fashion to the end users so they make the kind of action that will help save lives and property. And it occurs to me, when you're dealing with a bilingual community, what about misinterpretation, misunderstanding of a watch or a warning or even just a statement? Do you run into that issue?
Yes, we do. Sometimes there can be a lack of consistency, particularly with Spanish language media partners, regarding verbiage, regarding terminology, and those are things that we've had to iron out. I've had to do it not only here but in Brownsville and in my earlier career. Basic weather education, teaching them what a warning is, what a watch is, what a severe thunderstorm is, what a tornado is, basic stuff, because to be blunt, a lot of these folks in the Spanish language media, they don't have the professional degrees, and there's a lot more weather education that has to take place in order to ensure that we're communicating in a reliable and consistent manner. So yeah, those issues come up, and we have to deal with them.
Hey, Jesse, we've talked about Tim earlier, and you've got a really you've got a great office there, and you've got an interesting cast of characters. Your WCM probably, he hasn't been on this show yet, but he could probably be on here. I think John Fawcett. What do you? John is a unique individual. He's the only singing WCM that I know of in the Weather Service, and that may be a good thing. I don't know. Tell us about John a little bit, and how how does he play into all this? I know the WCM plays a critical role, but John is a real character, and I'm sure he does a great job for you down there.
Well, he is a character, and before you consider having him on the show, be careful what you wish for, because he'll certainly deliver. No, John is a close personal friend. I've known him for a long time. He was a mentor of mine early in my career, and he is certainly a character, and he has written, like you said, so many songs about the weather that deal with everything from flash flooding to turn around, don't drown, to tropical storms to space weather. And he's definitely a one-of-a-kind talent, and I hate to say this because I usually like to insult him, but it is a pleasure to work with him on a daily basis. And certainly, if you want to have some entertainment, make sure to have him on WeatherBrains at some point in the future.
I think that'd be great. He is the one of the punniest people I know. So he's hard to keep up with, and I always enjoy on Facebook and Twitter watching you guys go back and forth. And it looks like you have a great office, and a lot of fun there, and looks like you like to when you're out on those outreach trips, sample the local cuisine too. You're quite a connoisseur there, and I love seeing your pictures and things like that. So I guess there's a lot to sample down that way.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and it's certainly one of the perks of living along the border. You get to sample some incredible Mexican and New Mexican food, and it's definitely a pleasure to share that with my Facebook friends so they can see what's going on. But we certainly have a cast of characters in the office: Tim Bryce, John Fawcett. Those are just a couple of the really talented people we have here. So I'm very blessed in that regard.
Well, hey, what advice would you give Jesse? Somebody like in my case, in my market, we don't have a Hispanic television station. We have a lot of Hispanics here. We have a lot of severe weather here. And I know we are not adequately reaching them. What advice could you give meteorologists like me, and there's a lot of us in a similar situation, to reach them? Is it partnerships with Spanish-speaking radio stations, or what's the best thing we can do?
Well, that's the first thing that popped into my head. If you don't have Spanish-speaking TV stations, certainly to perform some outreach with the radio stations, because I can pretty much guarantee that you do have those. And certainly they're really effective at making inroads and connections with the local community and with those underrepresented groups. So, if I were a WCM in your area, that would be probably my first thing. That's the first thing I do: reach out to them and see what kind of connections I could make. Certainly reaching out to the school districts, see if they have English as a second language courses. And particularly if you have manufacturing sectors or agricultural sectors in your area, seeing if there's ways to reach out to them via those channels as well.
Yeah, I often think that we reach kids perhaps better than adults when it comes to severe weather safety as a general rule. I can reach first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth graders in schools, and they take this stuff seriously, and they go home and ask their parents, do we have a weather radio? Where do we go during severe weather? Do we have a plan at our house, and do we have a kit with helmets and all these other things? So maybe that's one way of doing it, to maybe get in some of the schools where there's a large number of Hispanics. But that's again, in our big outbreak in 2011, a lot of Hispanics died. And looking at social science studies, we know that they never heard the warning, or maybe they turned on television and they saw these bewildering images, live streams of tornadoes and radar, and they didn't understand what we were trying to say. And we've got a lot of work, and it's just not me. It's a big problem. So maybe the Spanish radio station is the starting point.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And certainly the weather there is so different from what they're used to. Back where they came from, and there's so many vast differences regarding the weather you get there, and so much education that needs to take place. Hearing those unfortunate statistics really doesn't surprise me at all. So our biggest struggle is from an educational point of view, and also from a language and culture point of view. And it's tough even if you're immersed in those different cultures, and the challenge is even tougher when you don't have the media in place, when you don't have those collaborative partners to help you out with that process. I know that for us, the National Weather Service, if it weren't for Televisa, Univision, Telemundo, our job would be so much more difficult. So we're grateful that we have those media partners in place for that collaboration.
You know, here's another thing, too. In my market, we are at a high enough latitude where we have ice storms and snow events and horrific winter weather problems. And I would assume our friends with a background in Mexico, they don't deal with that. That's totally strange to them.
Oh, absolutely. They're not accustomed to the winter weather. They're not accustomed to the big tornadoes, to the big supercell outbreaks. It's just a completely different world. And you know, down in the core of Mexico, you're going to have the tropical weather from time to time. You're going to have the big thunderstorm outbreaks, but certainly not the type of thunderstorm outbreaks that we are used to getting in Tornado Alley in the United States. So again, a big challenge educationally. And the radio stations and the children are certainly a great place to start in order to get those wheels turning.
Let's talk about El Paso, Texas. What's the biggest weather forecasting challenge there?
Oh, in El Paso, we're a very underrated area with regard to weather hazards. We deal with a lot of windstorms during the spring and to a lesser extent the fall months, but our windstorms in the spring are really bad. And as an example, our county warning area for the El Paso area has experienced hurricane-force wind gusts on 25 occasions in the past 4 years. That's how bad the windstorms can get. On top of that, of course, we can have tremendous blowing dust, and that can cause big issues for our community as well with regard to respiratory illnesses. So those are issues we have to deal with. We have to deal with wildfire issues in the northern part of our area of responsibility. But the big thing that we really try to focus on are monsoon-related hazards during our summer months. The core of those are downburst winds, which can produce tremendous damage in our area, as well as flash flooding. And we had some really bad flash flood events this past summer. Some of them were related to tropical storm remnants that drug across our area during the summertime. But, you know, in El Paso, we get 9 to 10 inches of rain in most areas. With some of these tropical cyclone remnants that we had this past summer, some areas were getting 5 to 6 inches of rain in 24 hours in isolated spots. So when an area like ours gets 50 to 60% of its annual rainfall in an isolated spot in a few hours, it can cause tremendous flooding issues. So those are our big risks during the monsoon, and the meteorology is still catching up to the difficulty of forecasting during the summer monsoon in our area, and that's our biggest challenge.
How are you doing with the drought conditions there?
Well, as you know, we have been experiencing a multi-year drought across the region. Certainly, it was aided by a lot of the rainfall that we got during this recent monsoon. We saw quite a bit of improvement in those drought conditions, but we certainly need a good El Nino to help us out this coming winter. We need some good rainstorms and snowstorms to beef up the snowpack in our mountains. So that's what we're hoping for, and if we don't get that, then we may be facing some challenges next year.
So how many, let me ask you this, say over a 1 year period, how many tornado warnings does your office issue?
Not many. We might issue one during a typical year. That's simply not a threat that occurs across our area very often. We have to deal with other issues that are much more smaller in scale with regard to seeing it coming, I guess. You know, one of the benefits of working farther east is that a lot of times the models help you out quite a bit in helping you see some of those bigger tornado outbreaks. They're not perfect, of course. They're not going to catch everything. But in our area, you know, the model ability to see some of our really dangerous weather that can catch people off guard, it's still maturing, it's still improving. And so the monsoon-related risks remain our biggest problem, and most of our warnings during the summertime are going to be for severe thunderstorms or flash flooding.
One more question, and we have to take a break here in just a second, Jesse. But tell me about the Upper Air Data Network in Mexico. How reliable is it? How much of that is an issue for you? Because most your systems that happen to come in from the south, they're not in the American Upper Air Network. What about the data reliability from Mexico?
Well, there's some data down there. If you're willing to dig around, there's a surprising amount of mesonet data available, but upper air data is lacking down there, which can certainly make specific types of forecasts very problematic, be it monsoon surges or be it trying to get a good handle on tropical cyclone remnants that are coming up from Baja California. So yeah, those are issues that we have to work through and find a way to deal with, and that once again highlights the need for effective collaboration with our Mexican partners.
All right. By the way, if you ever need any help with those dust storms out there, Brian Peters is our haboob officer here on the show. Brian, you're a haboob expert, aren't you?
I'm sure. What's a haboob?
Careful.
I know what a haboob is. Yes. I'm not going to go there. There's another show title.
Yeah, about to say we're going to stop this and take a quick break. Brian, we're going to play your review. I'm excited. I can't wait to hear this. You're going to review. And Brian stuck his head in here one day, and I was busy. We were doing the Toys for Tots thing, and I couldn't look at it. But he's got a new play toy. So we got a WeatherBrains 101, Brian's review of some cool weather stuff. We've got WeatherBrains. After that, we've got the Picks of the Week. We got Nate's News, Fog Bank, Weather Roundup, Email, Inbox. We've got a whole bunch of stuff coming up here as WeatherBrains rolls along.
WeatherBrains 101 with Professor Peters.
In episode 462, James Spann's Pick of the Week was the weather station for smartphones. Intrigued by their webpage, I reached out to them to see if they would let me review their equipment for WeatherBrains. They put me on a list for a station to review, but before I could say vorticity, a weather station arrived at my front door. It comes in a small, clean, neat package. My sense was of a European influence, much like the furniture from IKEA, clean lines with great functionality. In the box was a complete station including the base unit, an outdoor module, and a small box containing power cord, plug, mounting hardware, batteries, and an instruction booklet. The instruction booklet was a simple trifold piece of paper with nothing but line diagrams, the only text being the website for downloading the software to your iPhone or iPad. I put the batteries in the outdoor module and mounted it on the side of the house per the instructions. I downloaded the software to my iPhone 6, software is also available for the Android, and powered up the base unit by plugging it into the wall outlet. The software prompts you to touch and hold your finger on the top of the base unit until a light appears. The software then walks you through getting the unit set up on your local Wi-Fi network. I had the station up and running in less than 20 minutes, and that even included mounting the outdoor module. I have to admit that I was skeptical about the capability of the station. After all, there was no wind equipment nor apparent dew point readings, but my skepticism quickly evaporated when I started getting data on my iPhone. Just like the hardware, the software is clean and neat. The display includes both indoor and outdoor data, and a simple swipe upward brings additional information into view. Turning the iPhone horizontal changes the display to display a graph of the various weather elements. With the first swipe upward, they had me. Right there was data I had never seen before. It showed the CO2 level in parts per million and the level of noise in decibels. I liked it right away. Keep in mind, this is a basic weather station. There is no wind data, and it does not come with a rain gauge, but there is an optional rain gauge available, and you can add up to 3 modules to monitor temperature, humidity, and CO2 in other locations. I thought about my attic and basement as 2 places I might like modules. The company claims the outdoor module will run on the AAA batteries for a year, but since I've only had the unit a few days, I cannot fully evaluate that. The software provides clear, concise information on the various parameters. I've never had the ability to monitor CO2, so I read their informational note, and I found it very helpful and clear. The weather station package is $179. The optional rain gauge is $79, as are additional modules. And once you are up and running, you can see your data on a map, along with the data for other NetAtmos stations worldwide. But the only change I would like to see is for the software to display dew point. It does show relative humidity, so obviously there is some capability there. This is a great weather station for all interest levels. The only caveat is that there is no capability for measuring wind or adding a wind module. That might be a nice thing for them to develop for the future. I also have my Davis Vantage Pro, but I have found the Net Atmo station to be a great addition to monitoring my environment with CO2 and noise levels. If you do not have a weather station, the Net Atmo station is a great place to start with an uncomplicated setup and ease of use. I give this station 5 lightning bolts on the newly created WeatherBrains scale. If you have a question about weather, drop an email to question@weatherbrains.com.
Looking beyond the atmosphere, I'm Tony Rice with your astronomy outlook for the week of December 22nd. Yesterday marked the winter solstice, when the sun is directly over 23.5 degrees south latitude, the Tropic of Capricorn, at noon. These latitudes match up not coincidentally with the Earth's 23.5 degree axial tilt. It's the reason for our seasons. If not for this tilt, the amount of sunlight received on any point on Earth would remain the same, and seasons wouldn't change. Earth isn't the only planet with an axial tilt, though. It's not the only one that experiences seasons. Venus, Earth's supposed twin, has just a 3-degree axial tilt. Its dense acidic atmosphere and runaway greenhouse effect produces temps around 900 degrees, so seasons are barely noticeable there. Mars is a much better candidate for Earth's twin, has a 25-degree axial tilt, and produces very Earth-like seasons. Martian year lasts 687 Earth days, though, and Mars orbit leads to some variance in the length of its seasons. Spring lasts about 7 months, summer about 6 months, fall 5.3 months, and winter just over 4 months. Winter arrives on January 11, 2015, when Mars experiences its own solstice. Jupiter's tilt is very similar to Venus, and really doesn't make much of a seasonal variation. Saturn is tilted at 26.75 degrees. The seasons really don't matter much on gas giants, though. Uranus is a weird one. It has a tilt of 82 degrees, nearly over on its side. This produces some interesting atmospheric effects. For about 84 Earth years, the sun shines directly on one of its poles. As sunlight finally reaches other latitudes, huge storms are triggered. Neptune is tilted at an Earth-like 28.5 degrees, but it's pretty far out there as well and has a very long year. Recent images from the Hubble Space Telescope point to brightening clouds, a sign that spring is finally arriving on the gas giant. For you Game of Thrones fans, seasons on the show last a very long time, several years in fact, but are also very unpredictable. One summer on the show lasted a Saturn-like 7 years, a bit like Uranus's 20 Earth-year-long seasons or Neptune's 40-year-long seasons. The unpredictability could be explained by planetary wobble. Only a lack of a properly funded space program could explain the character's difficulty in predicting the seasons, though. That's your astronomy outlook. You can follow me on Twitter at RTPHokey for more spacey and apparently geeky stuff like this.
When the weather ball is red, warmer weather is ahead. When the weather ball is white, colder weather is in sight. When the weather ball is green, no change in the weather is foreseen. When colors blink by night or day, precipitation's on the way.
You know, since Kevin just got off the air with the weathercast, we ought to make Kevin do the weather roundup. Kevin, go.
I could sing the jingle again, could I?
Sure, that'd be good.
When the weather something something.
Or maybe not.
something.
Oh, brother.
Sorry.
So you're sending us, Kev, a little energy from your direction.
Yeah, just a little one coming overnight for us, and in the morning, nothing heavy here, but I guess it picks up a little steam heading toward you guys. We need it, though. We've had a November is typically the driest month, I think, in Texoma, and we've had nearly 5 inches of rain over the last 6 weeks.
Kevin, are you having a party back there? Well, what's going on?
Yeah, they've finished the news, and they're having a little wing-ding back there.
Yucking it up. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
So, again, this is on December 22nd, 2014, and we have some active weather that we will be dealing with during the day tomorrow in our neck of the woods in the southeast United States. We have a risk of severe weather over parts of the deep south and also heavy rain. Goodness, so some of the guidance coming in with over 5 inches of rain for parts of my state, Alabama. So we have flash flood watches in effect and kind of a nasty, messy pre-Christmas storm. I would say where we are, the severe weather risk is marginal. In fact, I've been sitting there looking at the new model data coming in. You know you're a weather geek when the OZ stuff just starts rolling in and you just can't keep your eyes off of it. But
now, James, marginal is now a technical term. So is it actually marginal or is it?
We're on the borderline between marginal and slight. How about that? And I have learned my own social science research. I'll tell you now, people I have probably had at least 12 people ask me today, what's worse, marginal or slight? The Joe Q public, they don't get it. They do not understand it.
I almost think marginal kind of sounds worse than slight.
Yes, most people are perceiving slight as the lowest end risk, and then marginal coming next. Everybody assumes that. And
so we say here we actually redid the scale on our graphics so that it says low on one end and high on the other. The rest don't deal with it. But when we're verbalizing it, we don't say slight, we say enhanced or elevated. So it starts marginal, elevated, just to get over that hump. But the context piece of that is everything. If you tell people marginal then slight, people get it. But if you just say slight risk, they're going to have a hard time figuring out where exactly that needs to fit in the scale.
I was talking to Mark Fox about this a couple of weeks ago. He was in town for Skip's retirement. He actually used to work here. And some light just went off in my head. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but rather than working up from thunderstorms through the highest, for some reason in my mind anyway, it seems to make more sense in explaining it on TV, starting with saying, okay, this is going to be the highest risk, and this is a little bit less, and this is a little bit less, and this is a little bit less. But I agree with you guys. It's very difficult. What's the official word from the office there, Rick?
The official word is that
it is what it is.
It is what it is. The unofficial word is I agree. I mean, it's we know the words aren't perfect, and there's so many different ways to describe it, and we've still got a lot of work to do on it, no doubt.
Tell them to get rid of the word slight.
I will agree with that. When everybody hears that word slight, they think it's no big deal. When I'm on television, I say it's the standard risk, slight risk, the standard severe weather risk, and again, we've been fighting that for a long time. But again, it seems as though they're trying new things, and I like that, and I think it's a step in the right direction. So we'll see. But whatever. There is a kind of a low-end severe weather risk down here for December 23rd, and let's poll our associate up in the Northeast, Dr. John Scala, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. What's the effect in your part of the country?
We were dealing with 30th degree and rain this evening. That's the story. It's just nasty. Ugliness. I've been asked, what about a white Christmas? And I'd say, well, not in central Pennsylvania. You're going to have to go to the mountains or go further west up towards the Great Lakes. Maybe on the back side of this storm on Christmas Day there might be some light snow. But for us, too mild, a lot of wind. That's the big story that I've been announcing around here. A lot of wind with this storm.
Aubrey, what's happening with this thing where you are?
I agree. Same with us. I've been harping on the strong winds on Christmas Day for a while, and it looks like our winds aren't picking up until Christmas Eve night.
Right.
So it looks like they've slowed down those winds. So at least, you've got rain on Wednesday, heavy rain on Wednesday, but at least those winds aren't picking up until Wednesday night. So I've been saying on air that Santa can just ride in on the window. He doesn't need reindeer this year.
Well, there you go. And it looks like we are going to get into a colder pattern toward the end of December and the first of the new year. So we'll see how that works out. But we got to move on here. I'm excited because we get to dive right into the old email inbox.
That's my tune. All right. So from Rob Heron tonight, and Rob, thank you very much for sending a couple emails. He sent a couple of emails in this week, so thank you very much for making my job very important. Rob says, I know that the May 31st event has been discussed plenty, but Skip Talbot has done a very well put together video study of 4 of the chaser groups impacted. Go South on YouTube. Search Go South Safety Lessons Learned from El Reno. There's 2 versions. And an updated one that looks, the long one he said looks great. So really good video if you would like to see that. We also got a listener response from Jay Hughes in Ontario, who usually watches through YouTube, and they're interested. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, so I just know it's Jay. Interested in severe weather climatology. I especially enjoy when you have other broadcast mets from big weather markets. And they would love to see JB as a guest on the show to discuss many significant severe weather events that he's experienced And we could also just have Dr. Chuck Doswell on every week, and they wouldn't miss a show. Scott Whitaker sent us a link for a really cool weather gadget for your phone. You kind of put it on the top of your phone, and it's like an anemometer, thermometer, barometer, everything all in one. It's like a digital weather station. I could not figure out the price on it, though, when I looked at the link.
And is this one of the things that Brian is going to get to review, or is this something else that he doesn't have yet?
Yes.
You get to review it?
No, that's the one. Windu. Yes. I haven't got it yet, but they promised me there was ship one.
What are the prices, Brian?
I don't know, because it's all in European language. You know, Frank.
European language.
You're not a Euro guy, are you, Brian?
No, I'm not a Euro guy. So.
See if we can hire someone to translate the money, the cents in dollars and euros, and we'll find a guy for that and see if we can get a price. I'm curious as to how
the distributor for that equipment. Yeah, the distributor for that equipment is in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Oh, okay.
So we'll get some prices eventually.
All right. Scott also suggests from the great state of some guest suggestions from the great state of West Virginia. We've had snow and wind from Superstorm Sandy and the big derecho of 2012, which we also had in our area here in Harrisonburg, Virginia, James, and a higher tornado count this year that was in West Virginia. One tornado lasted 15 minutes on the ground but was never warned on. We also get the occasional lake effect snow if it reaches as far, which, to be honest, we also get some lake effect snow in Virginia occasionally. And also provide a good deal of orographic lift. So, so thank you, Scott, for sending in that email. Also from, let's see, he suggests Jason Parrish. Let's see, Jason Parrish at WBOY. He was awarded some kind of best forecaster early in his career, so that's his guest suggestion. And then we also got, where was he down wrong? Barry in Rochester, Minnesota, not Rochester, New York, sent us in a note that said we need to get the Hop Wharf guys on the show. Nate mentioned that this week that by midwinter the guest list is a little thin, but Barry thinks we should really talk to them. So thank you very much for sending in your emails. If you want to send us an email, a guest suggestion, or a note, maybe a fun link, send us an email to email@weatherbrains.com. You can also find us on the Twitter @WeatherBrains. And you could also find us on Facebook @WeatherBrains. And the dog just ran in with, I think, my glove. So you can just search for us on WeatherBrains. And don't forget, you can sign up for the new WeatherBrains newsletter, which we are up to over 20 subscribers at this site.
Cool. And before we do Nate's news, let me mention that we've got a schedule change for the year-ender. Every year we do a big year-ender with Greg Carbon of the Storm Prediction Center. We look back on the big weather events of the year, and every year that show tends to float because of vacation schedule, and we are actually going to do that show that will be released into the wild on December 29th. We're going to do it live on Tuesday, December 23rd. If you're watching or listening to this live, that's tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central. It's going to be a morning special. Haven't done one of those in a long time, but in order to work around the vacation schedules, that's just the way it worked out. So, again, if you want to watch the year-ender live, it will be Tuesday, December 23rd, 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central. Having said that, it is time now for all the news that's fit to read, ladies and gentlemen. When it happens in the world of weather, it's news to us. It's time now for Nate Johnson.
And the big news this past week was a broadcast meteorologist in the Waco Temple, Killeen, Texas market was shot as he left the TV station. Patrick Crawford, a meteorologist, the morning meteorologist for KCEN television, and that market was leaving after his shift and got in his car, and somebody came out of the parking lot and started shooting at him. He was able to get out of the parking lot, get away, got to a construction area where some construction, road construction folks were able to help him get some help. He wound up getting rushed to the hospital and is recovering now from multiple gunshot wounds. Says there was no argument with the shooter. Guy just came up and started shooting at him. They have not found the shooter, but there is a sketch that's out there, and the Falls County Sheriff want to hear from you if you've seen this guy. Really scary stuff, and had a lot of folks in the broadcast meteorology community sitting back going, hey, wait a minute, what's this all about? So we'll be interested to see what comes out of that down the road. But certainly we're happy that Patrick is on the mend. Looks like he will recover, and hopefully will be out of the hospital before the end of this week. Folks in the University of Colorado, University of Nebraska say that drones are good for severe weather research. They've come together to form the Unmanned Aircraft Systems Severe Storm Research Group. That's a mouthful. What they want to do is fly drones into tornadoes. Well, not exactly, but pretty close. Flying drones in and around severe thunderstorms to sample the environment, to get a sense of what the winds are doing and what the temperatures and dew points are, that sort of thing. They have been doing this over the last couple of years. Shh, don't tell the FAA. None of them have crashed as of yet, but they've collected some really good data, and they are hopeful that they will be able to hopefully to be able to do more of this in the coming years. That story courtesy of Dan Elliott from the Associated Press. WSB-TV in Atlanta, Georgia, reporting on some research led by a friend of the show, Dr. Laura Myers. She did a study of 3,700 people in Georgia following the January 28th, 2014 Snow Jam event. You remember that, the one that had a lot of Atlanta folks jammed on the freeways because of the ice that came during the morning hours. She found, no surprise here, I don't think, a lot of confusion over the term advisory. A lot of folks saw that as a downgrade from the winter storm watch that they had been going through. In reality, it's one way that a watch may be resolved into a higher level, the other being a warning, or the watch can be discontinued. But there's a lot of confusion about that. A lot of folks saying that was more of a downgrade more than anything else. She also found some really interesting findings about how folks changed their mindset a little bit, had some hard time with that. I think for most of us here in the South, snow days, it's a day off. It's fun day. And that was probably the first time that a lot of folks in Georgia had a snow day that was a stressful event. You were stuck on the freeway, kids were stuck at school, and you were stuck at work, that sort of thing. So a lot of tension about that. We'll see how that plays out during the coming winter season. Finally tonight, some sad news. Our weather community has lost a giant. Dr. Robert Bob Simpson passed away late last week. That was a Friday morning, actually I think Thursday night into Friday morning. And you probably know the name of the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. He was the Simpson in that. His resume, too long to read here. He touched so many things, but a couple of things. He was the project lead back in 1955 of the National Hurricane Research Project. Did that for 4 years. Left to go finish his doctorate at the University of Chicago in 1959. During the 60s, he led a Project Storm Fury, which they tried to figure out how to weaken hurricanes through weather modification, sort of cloud seeding, that sort of thing. And even though they weren't successful in sort of the stated goal, they were able to learn a lot about how hurricanes form. Of course, he was director of the National Hurricane Center 1967 through 1974, but of course he's best known for his work with Dr. Saffir on the Saffir-Simpson wind scale. They used a lot of research, a lot of work that they did following the 1957 Hurricane Audrey. Published that scale in 1973, and according to Dr. Jeff Masters from Weather Underground, one of the sources for this story, said there was a lot of got a big kick from Dr. Neil Frank in 1974 when he took over as National Hurricane Center director, putting that out. He was still very spry and completely with it mentally pretty much until the very end. A lot of folks, they had hosted a 102nd birthday party for him in Washington, D.C. last year. Bob Simpson, dead this week at 102. We certainly miss him. I know we wanted to open the floor for a lot of folks. And Dr. Scala, you had a chance to interact with him directly. Tell us a little bit about the man.
Well, yeah, Nate, for several years. I was fortunate enough to be at the University of Virginia when I was working on my PhD. He was on the faculty there initially, and so was his wife, Joanne Simpson. And I can recall vividly sitting in the classroom and listening to Bob Simpson talk. It's one of those events where you want to just soak up everything he would talk about. And his recollection of his career was truly astounding. I believe he was on the first aircraft that was intentionally flown into the eye wall of a hurricane. And that's what started that process of gaining information by penetrating tropical cyclones. So I've known Bob for some 25, 30 years. I used to attend the Christmas parties at their place in Washington, D.C. If you want to talk about a who's who that would show up at their place for a Christmas party, I would just sit in the corner and just listen to the conversation. It was truly astounding. So we have lost a giant in our field, and his wife was equally profound in that effect as well.
Okay, Nate, is that a wrap?
That's a wrap.
All right, good deal. Let's do the fog bank. We'll come back with our picks of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, time now for Skydive.
Initiating startup sequence.
Hello, WeatherBrains listeners. This is Dave Phillips, Skydiver on Twitter. I think that WeatherBrains 101 had sundogs a few weeks ago. Astronomy picture of the day had moondogs. The Earth Science picture of the day had a very nice lenticular cloud formation photograph. Kokoros has announced a number of new webinars. You can already go see the Tsunami Science and Tsunami Warning Systems. And Greg Carbon of the NOAA's Storm Prediction Center had a review of significant weather events occurring in 2014. In January, on the 22nd, Simon Troutman, an avalanche specialist with the U.S. Forest Service, will have avalanches in the U.S. in a nutshell. NOAA Satellites has his Flickr account now. So a guy walks into a bar, and trailing behind is an old mangy dog who promptly curls up into a corner and goes to sleep as the guy heads up to the bar. The bartender comes over and says, "No dogs allowed here, you'll have to put him outside." The fellow says, "You can see he's an old dog. It's cold out there, and I take him everywhere. If he does a trick that you like, will you let him stay?" The bartender scoffs. "Him? Do a trick? I'd like to see anything." The guy goes up to the dog and yells, "Hey, Navy beat Army." The dog's ears immediately jump up. He pops up, jumps on the bar, does 13 backflips, barks out the rhythm of anchors away, jumps off the bar, and goes back to sleep in the corner. The bartender says, "That is really amazing. What does he do when Army beats Navy?" The guy replies, "How would I know? He's just 13 years old."
Hey-o!
Skydiver out.
Oh, brother. All right, time now for picks of the week. And Jesse, I'm going to warn you, we're going to call for you for a pick here in just a minute. In fact, as I look at the clock, I'll say up front that I am the lead story on the 10 o'clock news over here. So
Again?
Yeah, we got the severe weather, so let's go to James Spann in the live local late breaking where accuracy matters.
Coverage you can count on.
Yeah, coverage
Weather
you can count
Authority.
on. Weather Authority Weather Center here. But Nick, my pick, it's the teleconnections page. This is free information from NOAA. There are other ways you can get it through paid information, but if you're looking for data concerning blocking, the Arctic Oscillation, the North Atlantic Oscillation, that will be my pick, and the link is up on the website, weatherbrains.com. So, Nate, I'll throw it over to you for your pick, and I'll let you pick it up from here because I got to go to Studio A.
Studio A. We are Studio WXB here, and my pick of the week is a link to the article I sourced for the story about Dr. Simpson, written by Dr. Jeff Masters of Weather Underground. Really well written article, and again, our condolences to the Simpson family and to everyone who knew him, including you, Dr. John, for really a big loss to our community. All right, Rick, I see you're next as I look down my list. A pick of the week from you, sir.
My pick of the week is another gem from Daryl Hertzman from the Iowa Environmental Mesonet, master at mashing data together. It's been a very slow year for warnings across the United States, and this past week it appeared on the Alabama Weather Blog. Yes, absolutely. Appeared on the Alabama Weather Blog and others. He's got a website set up where you can go and select either the entire United States or you can do it by individual weather forecast office. It'll give you a plot of the last, 10 years or so of warnings, so you can see in our case, how far below. This is the lowest year we've ever had for warnings over the past 10 years or so. So very interesting site, and more good stuff from the Iowa Environmental Mesonet.
All right, excellent. Always good stuff. And his, if you are, especially if you're in or around the state of Iowa, the daily feature on the IAM website. A lot of those maps you can generate for any site, either on the Mesonet, or some of them you can generate across the country. Some really cool stuff. I've actually used some of that for our Facebook page here in Raleigh, so check that out. Kevin Selly, pick of the week, sir.
Thank you, Nate. I'll have two, and Brian can pick which one he wants to put on the website, or he can do both. I know he doesn't like to do both. But first one is the big picture from Boston.com. Excellent, just spectacular pictures from the heavy rain events that we had earlier this month along the West Coast. The other one is here locally in Wichita Falls. Last week we had a circumzenith arc, which I have never, ever seen before. And let me tell you, it was spectacular. This is you could call it an extra little rainbow or a sunbow on the top of the main sunbow. We had two sundogs, a great cirrus deck coming in about a week ago. I think it was Tuesday night. And it persisted for, at least 20, 25 minutes. And I have a couple of pictures of it on my Twitter feed at Kevin Selly if Brian doesn't put it on the site. Nate?
All right, sounds good. Dr. Scala, pick of the week, sir.
Yes, Nate, thank you. This is a YouTube video. It lasts about 3 minutes or so, but it documents a spectacular event that occurred back in 1959. There was an Air Force pilot by the name of William Rankin who bailed out of his F-8 Crusader at 47,000 feet. This was back in the summer of 1959. He had a complete flame out of his engine, so he bailed out, but he bailed into a thunderstorm. And he rode that thunderstorm for 40 minutes. And what he experienced is truly something you want to read about and listen to.
All right. I'm looking forward to that video clip.
And John, can I tell you something about that?
Sure.
I read his book as a junior high student.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The Man Who Rode the Thunder.
Yes, The Man Who Rode the Thunder. That's correct.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yes. I may have to go on my Amazon wish list.
It is an absolutely fascinating. There's no sex, there's no robberies, there's no killing, but it is absolutely fascinating story.
It is. He became a human hailstone.
And after all these years, I still remember it.
Yeah. Wow. All right, Brian Peters, you're talking, so you must be next. Pick of the week, sir.
I have a pick of the week. Yes, I was the first one this week to get my pick out, so I told everybody not to use it. It is the NOAA Weather Radio automated voice singing "Deck the Halls."
always a great listen this time of week.
Go to mine.
I need to download that clip and put it on my iPhone for this time of year. Just to have that handy. Aubrey, a pick of the week.
I just can't help but smile when I listen to that one.
My pick is from NASA. It's one of their sites with a bunch of links about satellite coverage and what their satellites can track over the years, and they can track wildfires and all sorts of they can track algae and all sorts of really cool, interesting. I think there's like 13 or 14 different images there of what they can track, not just across the U.S. but across the world, and it's a really cool image gallery, and some of those are animated too.
Very cool. A lot of stuff we can track via satellites that we couldn't used to before, and with GOES-R going up next year, we're going to see some cool stuff. I cannot wait for the, a 5-minute full disk imagery or something. That'd be just insane, the kind of data we're going to get off that satellite. So, Jesse Harro, pick of the week, sir.
My pick is actually the summary page from the 2013 Virtual Border Conference that was put on by the National Weather Service. On it, you can find links to the presentations that were done by all the participants, and you can see some of the really neat best practices that are being put into effect by National Weather Service offices along the U.S.-Mexico border. So I thought I'd send a shout-out to them and give some attention to their great work.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing. And how can folks get a hold of you if they listen to the interview and want to know more about what you're doing there? How can they find you?
Well, they can certainly reach me at my NOAA email address, Jesus, spelled like Jesus, .haro@noaa.gov.
Somewhat appropriate for this time of year, I suppose. So good stuff. All right, so as James mentioned, looking ahead, we'll be doing our year-ender, the Meteorological Memories episode. We'll be doing that live tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 Eastern Time, but it will be released into the wild early next week, so that'll be the last show officially of 2014. Looking ahead, down the road, 2015, our first show will be live from the American Meteorological Society annual meeting. That'll be taking place in Phoenix, Arizona, the first full week of January, so we'll be looking forward to that. A number of folks. A quick show of hands, who here is going to AMS? I know Bill will be out there. So I see Rick raising his hand. Dr. Scala will be there as well. So we'll be well represented there at AMS. You can hunt some folks down and talk about WeatherBrains and WeatherBrains T-shirts and everything else. We have a show scheduled for the week of January 12th. No guest at this point that I know of. Let me double check here as I'm looking through the calendar. I do not see a guest. So we'll be talking about that, but maybe National Championship Football night. So we may have to do the show another night. We'll see. Monday, January 19th. I'm really looking forward to this episode, the Aviation Super Special. Weather and flying are very tightly related. You really can't do the one without knowing the other really well. And so we'll be talking with somebody from the National Transportation Safety Board, hoping to get a couple of GA pilots, general aviation pilots, as well as a meteorologist from one of the airlines. So that'll be a fun show. I'm looking forward to that. After that, we've got some open slots. So we've got some guest suggestions. I know our guest booking officer, Bill Murray, is working on getting some of those folks booked. But if you have guest suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. Or if you've had somebody, it's that time of year we're looking back and looking ahead, and as we look back, maybe there was a guest that you thought was just really great and you want to have them back on. Send us those folks too. You can drop us an email at weatherbrains.com. You can also tweet us at weatherbrains or send us a message on Facebook or Google+. We are WeatherBrains on both of those outlets. So that is This Week in WeatherBrains, Monday, December 22nd. Thanks for listening. If you like the show, if you don't like the show, or if you whatever, send us a comment. You can post those on iTunes. We love getting those iTunes comments. Again, you can shoot us an email at weatherbrains.com, Twitter, Facebook, the whole 9 yards. Love to hear from you, and hopefully we'll listen to you again next week. Until next time, I am not James Spann. Good night, and God bless. All right, Jesse, thank you very much. We appreciate having you on.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
And y'all take care. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
See you tomorrow. Good night.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Amen.
Oh, yes. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. And what's creepy, so many people are still watching this. All right. Yeah, we got one of these nasty low cape, high shear events coming in here tomorrow night. And it always happens in the middle of the night. Dew points will creep up in the low 60s after midnight. And, it's hard. You have to post somebody in the weather office. I mean, somebody's got to be here no matter what. So, and traditionally, this is more like where I am down here in the deep south. This is our Christmas weather, thunderstorms and all this kind of stuff. This is still our late fall, early winter tornado season here. So that'll be what we're doing tomorrow and tomorrow night. But yeah, the year ender, we're going to be right back. I mean, this is like we're going to go off the air for a little bit and we're coming right back on. We'll be back. We'll probably kick off the pre-show at about 9:45 Central, 10:45 Eastern tomorrow morning with Greg Carbon, one of our pals who's the WCM at the Storm Prediction Center. And what Greg does, he looks back at the big events of 2014. And it is always one of our favorites, and that'll be it for us. For 2014, we'll come back with the first episode of the new year. I want to get back off vacation. So in the way it's going to work, we'll release the audio show in the wild on Monday the 29th in the podcast world. But in the video, YouTube world, you can watch it if you want to tomorrow morning. It's a morning special, and I will be home in the home office for that one. And you know, we've only got one child left at home. He's a senior in high school. Back when our kids were little, you'd hear all kind of weird noises and stuff whenever we did those shows at home. But anyway, even the senior, the 17-year-old, he is out of town. He is in Cincinnati tonight watching the Bengals and the Broncos playing. That's like a great Monday night football game up there. It's awfully close. Last time I checked, the Bengals were leading. They're leading 37-28. Goodness, I don't know what happened there. It was a minute ago. It was like 30-28, but now they're up. It's an interception. Looks like a pick six. A pick six. So there you go. I got to go. And you know what? Every year I do the same thing on the Christmas episode. I don't know if the producer will get this in the audio version or not, but I'm going to roll it out with my pal Mark Phillips, a great musician, a great friend, and just a little music for the season. So on behalf of all of us here in WeatherBrains, hope you and your family have a marvelous, meaningful, Merry Christmas and a good one this year. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years, we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang your shining star above the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas. Now